Welcome to a very special Christmas episode of Fatherhood Unscripted. Christmas has always been a season for stories. Some of them are loud and joyful, and some of them are quiet and reflective. And some of them don't really make sense until we sit down and really sit with them. Over the past year, DJ and I have had an incredible experience of sitting down with some amazing men. Fathers all from different walks of life, from different faith, different backgrounds, different beliefs. But somehow, all these conversations circled back to the same themes: presence, strength, faith, and legacy. What it actually means for us to show up for our kids in a world that constantly is pulling us away from them. Tonight isn't about teaching a formula for fatherhood. It's about remembering why this matters in the first place. So if you're watching this and your kids are running crazy around the house, or you're laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep, this is your invitation to slow down, to reflect, and just breathe, and step into a Fatherhood Unscripted Christmas story. So before we talk about discipline, before we talk about faith, before we talk about legacy, we have to start with identity. One of the hardest questions us as fathers have to face isn't what should I do? It's who do I believe that I am? Because the way we see ourselves determines how we show up when life gets busy, or when things get hard, or when our kids need us the most. Over this last year, we talked a lot about time. Not productivity time, not calendar time, but relational time. The kind you don't get back once it's gone. This clip that I'm about to play from Brian Boggart, it stopped us in our tracks just because it forces us to confront how intentional we are with the time we've been given.
If you truly care about being a father, if you truly care to be in your kids' lives, if you truly genuinely believe that their lives are better with you in it, then never stop fighting for the time with them. But that also means that the time with them and how it's spent is also going to be the quality of the time with them and what they're going to remember. So if you're going to fight for the time, I don't mean this with shame. I don't mean this with blame. This is a hard situation. However, if you're feeling defeated, recognize, what do you believe your role is as a father? And is your defeating or defeated mentality doing your kids a disservice? How do you use them as energy? How do you use them as fuel? Not because they need to, and not because it's an expectation for them to carry that weight. But if that role as a father is what it is, connect to that every time you think about them, and every time you're with them presently, and every time you have the opportunity to get more time with them. Because that's the only thing you can't guarantee more of, is the time that you're going to get with your kids, unless you fight for it.
Fighting for time, it feels heavier at Christmas. This season just has a way of reminding us how fast the years actually move. One Christmas turns into the next, and then suddenly your children aren't asking for toys anymore. They're asking deeper questions about who they are and where they belong. Brian wasn't saying our kids are our motivation in a burdensome way. He's saying they're our reminder, a reminder that time is sacred. And as fathers, we don't need more hours. We just need more presence in those hours. And Christmas reminds us that love shows up. God didn't wait for the perfect moment. He entered time itself. And when we fight for time with our kids, we are echoing that kind of love ourselves. Another theme that kept surfacing this year was strength. Many of us grew up with confusing messages of what it meant to be a strong man. Some of us learned that strength meant silence. Others learned that strength meant aggression. But very few of us were taught how to carry strength with wisdom and restraint. This next clip reframed that in a way that deeply impacted me.
Jesus talks about being meek, like the meek will inherit the earth. And I think a lot of times you think to yourself, meek is just like downward subservient glances, and we're just really soft and meek and we get trampled on. Jordan Peterson has the best example of that. He says the rabbit that doesn't attack you is not meek. The tiger that doesn't eat you is meek. In other words, the rabbit can't hurt you. Mm-hmm. So you want to be highly powerful and highly strong and highly dangerous. You just learn to control it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's meekness.
Meekness isn't weakness, it's mastery. Our kids don't need fathers who are explosive, and they don't need fathers who have checked out emotionally. They need men who are strong enough to pause, humble enough to listen, and disciplined enough to lead with love. Jesus modeled that perfectly. He was powerful yet gentle, bold yet compassionate. When our kids see that kind of strength in us, it shapes how they understand leadership for the rest of their lives. You know, strength doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it just looks like staying present when things are uncomfortable. As dads, our instincts are often to fix or to solve or just to make the pain go away. But sometimes what our kids need most is someone who's just willing to sit with them.
Affirmations are huge. Positive affirmations. However, if my wife, for example, is in a mood, bummed out for something, and I come in and I'm like, "It's okay, honey. Just look on the bright side." Right? Like, no one wants that. No one wants that. And how often do we do that for our kids? Like, "Oh, I'm struggling. This is hard." And it's like, "It's okay, son. Just look on the bright side." It's like, no, they're on the pain train right now. Like, they don't, your affirmation might not help. But what I love about yours, DJ, is it's not like, go crush this, go win, but it's, I got this. It's just reaffirming their own ability to like take another step.
That phrase, the pain train, is real. Our kids are experiencing real emotions, even when the problem seems small to us. When we rush past their pain, we're teaching them to suppress it. But when we sit with them, we will teach them resilience. Christmas reminds us that God didn't dismiss humanity's pain. He stepped into it. And as fathers, we're called to do the same. Faith doesn't remove storms. It gives us an anchor inside them. And our kids learn faith less from what we say and more from how we stand when things get hard.
One really cool aspect of faith and surrender is that it doesn't mean that the trials are less. It means that I'm okay even in the storm. It doesn't mean the storm goes away. It means that I find peace in the storm. And it reminds me of Christ with his apostles on the sea and the storm. And Christ was sleeping. And they had to wake him up because they were so afraid that they were going to capsize and, all drowned and everything else. And he was asleep because he had peace. And then he shared that peace with the apostles and he calmed the waters. He calmed the storm. And that's why there's only one emotion in the entire set of dyads. There's only one emotion that has no counterfeit, and that's peace. Peace can't be counterfeited because it comes from the Prince of Peace.
Jesus stepping into the storm is such a powerful image. The chaos didn't disappear, but fear lost its grip. And our kids watch how we respond to pressure. When they see us in peace, they learn where peace comes from. There are moments in fatherhood that our kids will never forget. Not because they were easy, but because they were shared. This final clip captures the heart of everything that we've talked about today.
So he has you turn to this stranger and say, I'm going to walk through fire for you. So you're actually walking through for someone else. And then he in turn says, well, I'm going to walk through fire for you. It's this really powerful moment. So my daughter has this experience and I'm like, and then we come back together and I was like, okay, well now I can't leave this guy who has these limiting beliefs and I can't leave him hanging. And my daughter felt the same way. She's like, I can't do that either. So we're going to walk through the fire together. And so we go line up together and I'm arm in arm with this stranger. My daughter's behind me with arm in arm and we go up to the fire. And this fire, I mean, it's no joke. It's hot burning coals and there's some fear involved. And I get through he has you transform your brain to thinking it's cool moss. So you tell yourself cool moss and you don't look at the fire, you look up ahead. And I remember looking back at my daughter and here she is, like just going through the fire and she's doing it with, this power and this authority as she walks through. And I have this image in my mind as a father where when she gets done, she starts shaking and she's crying and she's like, that was so powerful, Dad. And just seeing her shake and cry, like that she did something so hard. Like I'll never forget that image of her being giddy after she walked through that fire. Right. So trying to include your children in anything entrepreneur, include them in the training, take them to events. I try to take my youngest to every event I possibly can because I want them to be around people like you and people who are smart and thought leaders out there.
That image stays with me. A father and daughter walking through fire. He didn't remove the fire. He didn't promise it wouldn't be hard. They walked it together. That's fatherhood. Christmas reminds us that God didn't stay distant. He stepped into the fire with us. And as fathers, we are called to do the same. Presence over perfection, faith over fear, love that walks beside. From our family to yours, Merry Christmas. This has been Fatherhood Unscripted.